Hey friend, welcome to a Fresh Start podcast. I'm Shan and I am a rare disease survivor. I've struggled my whole life to figure out how to overcome, physically and mentally. So, if you've ever looked in the mirror and wished you saw something different, or maybe caught your inner voice saying things you'd never think to say out loud, know that you're in the right place. You're done spending time searching for quick fixes and buying all the weight loss solutions. You have spent enough time and money finding all the things that don't work. Now, it's time to do it right. It's time to be equipped through healthy habits and mindset shifts to get you through to the other side, believing you are worthy even though this life is hard. Even though health is hard, we can and need to honor this body that serves us. So, stop scrolling social, clicking the ads, and buying all the things. Let's grab our Americano and pop in our AirPods. It's time to solve the real problem together. Let's rise up, friend. A fresh start awaits. Have you ever felt alone in a crowded room? I didn't say the room was filled with strangers. Sometimes it's people that we know. But whether you're an introvert, extrovert, or like me, an introverted extrovert, feeling alone in a crowded room is actually not that abnormal, right? It's more about self-confidence, being able to strike up conversation, connect with others, and what's often called the art of small talk. So today, I want us to dive into 3 tips to increase self-confidence and feel connected. So whether you're in that crowded room with strangers or familiar faces, you'll be able to feel more connected and at peace the whole time. Hey there. So for those of you who don't know me, I am what's called an introverted extrovert. I love people. I love talking and getting to know someone's story. It's seriously one of my very favorite things. But it can also require a lot of small talk in order to get there. And I have to be honest, I am not a huge fan of small talk. It's exhausting, and I often feel like it's a time filler. This is actually why my family often laughs at me, because I love people. I love connection. I love quality time, but I don't always want to be around other people because I'm not good at small talk, and it causes me to instantly feel out of place, weird. I say weird things. I combine words in ways that they're not meant to, and it just becomes awkward. Even more awkward than I feel like it started out to be. So if you at all can relate, then this episode is definitely for you. 3 tips to increase self-confidence and feel connected. Here we go. Hey there. Gosh, I'm so glad you're here because today we're talking about such a perfect example of a fresh start. We're answering the question, have you ever felt alone in a crowded room? I didn't say a room full of strangers, just a crowded room. You might know everybody in the room, but you can still feel alone, right? So today we're going to talk about 3 tips to increase self-confidence and feel connected. Because most of the time, it has everything to do with self-confidence, whether they're strangers or familiar faces. So number 1 is probably the most important if you ask me, because it's not often remembered or practiced, but it's so easy. And that is to just remember that you both are human, right? Starting up a conversation will most likely be the very hardest part, which is why there is book upon book and multiple podcasts and so many things on the art of small talk. I personally am not a huge fan of small talk, but it is both helpful and necessary. The key is to not stay there, because if you stay in small talk, you never really have the opportunity to connect, and it's very superficial. So let small talk be a tool that helps you dive deeper, helps you learn what you're interested in, what the other person is interested in, topics that you guys have in common, conversation points that you can really connect on and dive deeper. You'll be able to help them with different pieces. They'll be able to teach you things. And before you know it, you're in a conversation that you actually enjoy with somebody who feels familiar rather than a stranger. I don't know if you've ever heard of Brené Brown, but she has a book called Dare to Lead. It's a fantastic book, and I highly recommend it. I listen to it on Audible, which I really enjoy because I enjoy listening to her narrate it. But it talks about how, on average, awkwardness lasts for 8 seconds. That's it. Be nervous, maybe say the wrong thing, but then move on. Let that be an icebreaker. 8 seconds. We can all handle that. If it's an icebreaker, laugh. Learn to laugh at yourself. It's very freeing and it's fun. I don't know if you've ever heard of the artist Chris Bryan, but he has a song called Take a Good. And that always resonates with me because it talks about in a conversation how he started to say, take care and have a good day. And it became take a good. And you just have to laugh at it because it sticks. That happens to me so often. In small talk, I get nervous. I say the wrong thing. I'm weird. And stuff like the phrase take a good happens. And so you laugh, you don't focus on it, and you just realize you both are human and move on. Number 2 is to be kind to yourself. I have an entire podcast episode on this, so if you haven't listened or if you just need a refresher, make sure to go back and check that out. But this comes in so many forms, positive self-talk being one of the most powerful, commonly used ways, because we spend the most time with ourselves. And so how we talk with and to ourselves matters. And so I know when I find myself in a crowded room or at an event, it's so tempting to kind of try and stay tucked away in the corner or at my table where it's comfortable, where I'm under the radar. But that's not valuable to me or to others. I didn't get invited to that event or in that room in order to stay low key under the radar and not connect with people. Connection is so valuable. You want to connect with others. And in order to do that, you have to remind yourself that you are worth getting to know. You have value. You're fun to be around. And the other person knows that too of themselves. And they might be having the same pep talk at the same time that you are. And so that goes back to number 1. Remember that you're both human and that you're a great friend and person to be around. They may not know you yet and you don't know them, but you guys could end up being best friends. I get asked all the time, how do you make friends? And honestly, I don't really have a straight answer because it just kind of happens. But when you look back, it's at these places, these events, in these groups. You don't always expect it, but you meet somebody, you get to know them, and the next thing you know, you're friends. I mean, it's that simple. That's how it happens. So you have to get over flying under the radar, and you need to get back to remembering you're worth spending time with and getting to know. So go have the awkward 8 seconds and connect. And then remember that most people, despite the front that they might be putting on, are feeling exactly like you are, similar. So be kind, not only to yourself, but to others as you're in the room striking up conversation. You're both just figuring it out. And I don't know if you've heard it, but I love the saying, be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a battle that you know nothing about. Plato said this, and it's referenced quite often, but it's a good, humble reminder, right? We often think, oh, everyone's perfect and they have their lives together. And I'm just over here, feeling the way I'm feeling, stuck, maybe in a season right now that's really hard. Nobody can relate. And that self-talk has to stop. That is untrue. You don't know what other people are going through. And just like you at that event or in that room, right, you showed up, which is awesome. But that doesn't mean you don't have anything going on. And the same goes for each other person. So as you get to know people, remember, you're both human, and be kind to yourself as well as others. And number 3, if you have to attend an event alone, something I once heard that stuck with me is to set a goal for how many new people you'd like to meet. Have a few questions ready. Could be 1, could be 3, depending on the event or the time frame, but it'll help you focus and to calm your nerves. I remember a conference I attended once that had hundreds of people, and I literally knew nobody. It was extremely out of my comfort zone. I flew across the country for this, and I very quickly felt overwhelmed and out of place and just doubting my choice to attend, right? I mean, I walked into a room with hundreds of people by myself, and I didn't know anybody. I also didn't have a plan. So have a plan. It's okay to be nervous. It's okay if you feel awkward and out of place, but show up. So I heard this, and I thankfully decided to set this goal for myself. And it's funny. I started with one girl who was with a group of other girls. And before I knew it, I had met and surpassed my goal and made connections that have lasted over the years and allowed us to stay connected and supportive of one another through social media, even though we all live in different states. All because I decided to get out of my comfort zone and make a goal. 1 turned into 2, turned into 4, turned into a whole group for that entire weekend conference and long after. So just remember, it doesn't have to be an overwhelming goal. Just start with one person. one question and let it grow. People matter just like you. And when we keep that in mind, it makes it so much easier to connect confidently, right? Because we're all human. We're all nervous and awkward in our own way. But by committing to that awkward 8 seconds, using small talk as a tool to dive in past the superficial so that we can connect and get to know each other, by reminding ourselves of our value and our worth and that we are worth spending time with and getting to know. We are good friends. We have value, just like everyone else in that room. And by setting a goal in order to get outside of our comfort zone, in order to stretch ourselves, we have the opportunity to meet people that we might never have met, all with one question, one person at a time. It's just such an amazing opportunity. So I challenge you this week, in an unfamiliar setting or in a familiar setting. Could be the grocery store, could be church, could be at the office. It could be at a conference in a state that you travel to. Anywhere that you want to give this a try. Embrace the 8-second awkwardness and strike up a conversation. It can be brief, but see how you navigate it. And with these practices, see how the other person responds. I want to hear from you. So head over to our group, bit.ly.com/afreshstart and share. Share where you tried out these techniques. Share your questions. Share how it went. And just how it's improved your self-confidence. And did it take 8 seconds? Was it maybe only 3 seconds of awkwardness? I'm so excited to hear how your self-confidence is improving and how you're getting outside your comfort zone and connecting with others, because you are worth knowing. You have so much value. I'm so excited to hear how this goes. I'll see you over in the group. Hey there. If this podcast helped, challenged, or inspired you in some way, I would love it if you'd do me a huge favor and leave me a review over on Apple Podcasts. It helps me to hear from you and know how this is best serving you. And go ahead and screenshot this and share it in your stories. Tag me at Shannon Marquita. That's SHANNONMARQUETA. And send it over to a friend in a text who is ready for healthy changes in her life too. Let her know that this episode might serve her as well. I am just so grateful for you and would love to hear from you. Come hang out and let's connect over in my Facebook group, bit.ly.com/afreshstart, or send me a message. I look forward to seeing you back here in a few days.